Not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Today, like every other day, or how every other day should be, is about love and it's about kindness. But especially today, also a national holiday in the United States, Martin Luther King Day. It's a day of reflection where we ask ourselves and each other, how can we make the most impact today? Even if today is your first step into building a better future and connection to everyone globally. Whether this be small or large gestures and acts of kindness, such as opening a door for a stranger, smiling, talking to a stranger, recognizing someone just from the kindness of your heart, or even buying coffee for a friend, loved one, stranger. Because it's in these small acts of kindness that lead to the bigger changes and goodness of our true soul and essence that determines our character, our greatness. And while Dr. King's legacy is felt throughout the world, only a few other countries recognize the national holiday. In 1986, in the US, it became a national federal holiday, celebrated the third Monday of January each year. And his birthday is actually on January 18th. And it being January 16th this year, 2023. And this is the first year that I'm deeply moved and found even more quotes that inspire me and are hitting home into where my mindset and own self and soul is taking me along for the ride. And where my inspiration and activism and upheaval of constructs that just aren't working for humanity, that need changed. And though I am ambitious, it's like I'm ambitious and I also keep myself in a loop of failure. So it's like there's two people in me. And I'm sure somewhere out there, someone is going through the same exact thing. Or maybe we all are. Uniquely our own way, of course, but we just don't understand it. And like I've said multiple times, even back on the first episode back in April, just my growth, just self-reflecting since then and stuff I'm learning, beliefs will change. Because at the end of the day, everyone has their own perception in life through their own eyes. Because as humans, we can't see life through other people's eyes. However, these podcasts that are being pushed, especially last year, where that little voice in my head, my ego, that says, why are you even doing this? It's a waste of time. You won't get paid. It'll never take off. It won't catch on no matter how much creativity you put into it, because all these famous people now are doing podcasts. And yes, there's a huge surge in podcasting, which at the end of the day, for the benefit of humanity and not self for me, since I'm struggling financially. But for humanity, people are voicing their story. They're being vulnerable to the best of their abilities to help themselves be most authentic and to show others that it's okay to be your true self. Be careful of trusting everything that everyone says. I feel like you should develop your skills of discernment to not agree with every single thing someone says, even though it's their own experience. And I am guilty of doing this when I first started listening to podcasts, before I even actually took the jump and got the courage to actually even put an episode out there. I had an idea where I was going with it, and each episode for me just builds more creativity, and it's very healing. It's a voice journal, if anything. Because though my family members and even myself said, you're going to be a writer, I want to take a step above that. I want to be a voice of my life. And as I build my confidence, I want to shine in that sense. And I always have, ever since I could remember. There's pictures of me singing Madonna, Like a Prayer, at age 2. And I think I've said this before, on karaoke. Where is that boy? That's your innocence, your true self. Not afraid to express myself. I still will not post a video on TikTok just normally speaking. Because I just don't want to be compartmentalized into one niche, a category. That is totally opposite of what I'm here to do, to break away from the crowd rather than and walk my own path. I'm not going to do a trend that everyone's doing. Yes, it'll be my own way of doing it, but to get into an algorithm, to get noticed for what? And this topic, I don't want to get off track. I feel like it kills my dream, just like the title of this bonus episode for you folks. One of his quotes, you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. And at first I was like, this is killing my dream, like from a separation perspective, right? The dream is collectively a change, heaven on earth, so to speak. But it takes a village. To work on yourself, it takes a village. And for that, to work on the collective, it takes everyone, right? Parts of the whole. But I feel Dr. King was a pioneer. The start of huge change. In this moment in life, and I say COVID for most, is a moment to just snap out of it and start becoming aware of things. Or great awakening, quote unquote. I always say quote unquote, but it's quote unquote. And I try not to say that every episode because I feel like other podcasters do it that I used to listen to, and it's just like becoming like this thing we're just like mimicking. Because it's just so natural. However, it's because everything that's spoken about, especially in regards to the unknown, occult topics, or spirituality, God, I know people like shriek and they're like, nope, turn off, screw this, because they may not have the awareness or understanding that it's interchangeable to creator, universe. You know what I mean? Just because you hear the word Jesus doesn't necessarily mean just the Bible, religion they honestly think of. So, and people that are into just scientific fact, it's okay. Because at the end of the day, everything that we believe, where our mind, our egos taint what we're learning, if you think about it, and manipulate what we're learning, there's no 100% way. However, home is you. You internally. We're all looking for, I need a boyfriend at all times. I need girl, I need you to just be fucking single for a day. Please, dear, you do not need a boyfriend. You don't need a boyfriend. Nobody needs a boyfriend. To procreate, yes. To reproduction, yes. But you could have guy friends. You can sleep with them and have intimate connections. And yes, I do want to finally be in a relationship with someone monogamously. And that's just my preference because I've always been, especially in the gay realm, just a high sex drive and hookups nation. And quite honestly, I don't even know how many people I've hooked up with. However, when it comes to actual penetration, like I said before, I am a virgin. I have not successfully had sex. I can't get up with a woman ever. So I know this is going a little off topic, but I'm putting that out there. Like, I'm okay with that because I want connection. I want commitment. I've never been committed to anything in my life, relationship-wise or anything. I always would quit and I would get so mad at myself. I'm my own worst enemy, my own worst critic. And I don't know where it started from. I guess since birth, honestly. I have high expectations for myself. And expectations and relationships with others and with yourself, most importantly and foremost, they just kill the relationship. And that's what I'm learning too. And this has been since that gap. I put out the last episode of content the beginning of December, and this is stuff I've been going through since my birthday was literally not a good birthday in a sense that I was so I had feelings that were negative feelings that I didn't want to have on my birthday. It was like a rainy day, even though I love rainy weather. I guess that's because I was born in the winter, like end of fall, about to be winter. But I just was going through it. And I honestly said, fuck doing this podcast. And I hate saying that on here for you folks, but this is that moment where the lows, where you might know a lot of people that are just have no high hopes for a future. And it's like, no matter how shitty my life is and it's not going anywhere to everyone else perception, I don't even know why I would even care anymore. Because at the end of the day, you don't leave this earth when I leave this earth. You know, it's a split-second difference if we're in the same type of tragedy. However, home is you. Like I said, it's just, and you are a co-creator with the person next to you, with me, with anyone else that's consciously here. And that's another thing that honestly scares me. I know I'm conscious, but I don't know 100% if every single other living thing is. And that's not from a place of arrogance or anything of that nature. It's just, I don't fucking know. And I've been in a state of fear, honestly, with the universe. Even if the universe, in a sense of not inside me, it's just all the outside factors. If we're all co-creating, together. And I think it's like this moment where my higher self will come in and be like, I got you. I will protect you. You got this. And at the end of the day, I have to remember that even if it's all for nothing, I at least will cultivate the power to stand in my power and not let anyone take that from me, as well as be able to be okay and enjoy my life. Because I'm also reflecting in my introverted ways, like I've talked about. For those that are first listening, I know this is a little bit kind of like Happy New Year dump of everything that's been going on. But I kind of want to just be real for a minute, because that's what my energy's been like, personally. Now, Mars was in retrograde, and I'm an astrology lover, and the next 2 episodes after this are going to be all about astrology from a continuation of the previous couple. And the rest of this episode is going to be about the Cancer full moon in January that we've had back on January 6th. And the ascension symptoms, if anything, because I'm very tied to the moon being born early in the morning. And the Cancer moon hits home for me personally because of certain factors that I talk about actually on the past couple episodes. Back to episode 12, 13, and 14, I intertwine astrology and how it connects to what I'm actually talking about in my own experience. But I'll get into that more in the next 2 episodes. I'm going to talk about it at the end of this one, just for those that like to jump around on podcast episodes. But I know it was kind of like a detour. However, I'm going to try my fucking hardest to enjoy my life, whether I reach what I desire or not. And I'm saying it out loud as much as I'm a sore loser, in a sense that, like, I'm so entitled because of my raising by amazing people. However, giving everything that your grandchild wants or your child wants, we always say that I'm going to give my child everything that I couldn't have, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that just creates a whole other list of personality traits that might hinder them in the future. However, maybe that's part of the path that we signed up for. So I look at it that way. It almost puts you in a state of neutrality. It can go one way or it could be the other way, and you just don't know. So you sit on it and you eventually let it go, which is a hard thing to do in life, because I have a lot of nostalgia, especially living in good memories. When the world's boring or I'm just not in the mood, just thinking of the past and moments I had great times and stuff, I like relive those in my mind to just live in that fantasy, because just grappling with a lot of overwhelmment in what I'm going through. And I think like taking a break was necessary from writing content, finishing the next 2 episodes that I'm releasing before I actually talk about this new year, which it's kind of good that I kind of went off script of talking points, because if I don't reach what I really dream of, which I feel like it just keeps growing as I'm going through this life. Now that I'm letting go of some of that emotional baggage that just circles the drain in our subconscious, and I'm stepping into who I truly am again, that I can't remember, So it has that hope burning in me and keeps that alive. And everyone feels differently. Everyone sees differently, envisions differently. But at the end of the day, we have to remember we come from a place of light and love that's above morality, good and bad. And it's easy to understand, but it's hard to grasp because you want to experience that. And as humans, I feel like we don't have the capability, but there's moments where we might. And that's just raising our vibration and our consciousness collectively. And January 6th was the first full moon, like I said, in the sign of Cancer, which Cancer loves the moon. It's at home in the moon. Cancer's a water sign. And my moon sign is Pisces, another water sign. And for those that are into astrology, especially millennials, Gen Z, even the older generations that either love astrology or now it's really taking off, and I love that. I was at Target in Homestead, back at home in Pittsburgh, Instacarting, which I'm doing less and less of, but financially it's I can't strike that balance. I feel like if I do one thing, I won't be able to work on what I truly want, but how will I survive? So it's a lot of split decision making, and I just don't know how to move sometimes. But I think a lot of it is about learning patience, perseverance, like I've said, and just fucking relax, Brandon. I have so much anxiety from it's why I'm here, to end that ancestral lineage. And I learned listening to another podcast, actually, because I asked the question to myself. I was like, so when you are here to cut the ties, end the passed down trauma ancestrally, right? Let go of those false stories that just kept getting passed down. Which parent are we, which ancestral are we, doing here? Some days I'm doing my dad's and my mom's, which that's just and then all this other stuff, which I'm not going to sound the victim here. I just laugh. I'm like, holy fucking shit. I really set myself up to do everything in one lifetime, which honestly, these days, I think for me, I have one life on Earth personally. And we've always thought that you live, you die. That's just what we know. But as I'm getting older, right, I'm in my 30s now, and my whole mindset has shifted. Literally, I was born on the October of 2020. Yes, I have memories before then and all that, but it just seems so long ago. Because time is here on Earth, because Earth is dense, and time is actually a beautiful thing, because everything else is one moment, and it makes so sense. So much sense, actually. Is it 100% true? I don't know, honestly, but this is what I'm going with, and as of now. And as I speak this, and it's part of what I imagine life is like after we leave, I want to keep going. I want to do more, I say this with, I'm definitely my true self now talking too, because that eager, naive, excited, adventurer, that's me. That's part of my personality that's always been there. But the fear comes back, and that's something that needs to be gone. The fear is what holds us all back. And we're human. It'll come back. And this healing journey is until the game ends, the clock stops for each of us personally. And that's something that you could look at, and agree upon if you are doing the work, whether you're in therapy, doing the emotional work, getting to the root of your very big emotions. And me being a psychoanalyst to myself, which it's not a good thing. However, journaling, voicing, because I can't afford a therapist right now. I don't have insurance, and I'm not going to get into the logistics, but even with the apps that are cheap, they make you pay everything up front. Like for a month. It's like $400 a month. Like I don't have that. I bought a candy bar today that was $32 basically. Like literally, it was like, I was like, really? That candy bar is that much now? But I have to eat something, right? Like while I'm working. And it's just like, I'm like, really? It's the point where I just laugh now because I can't really cry about it, because what's that going to do? And that's a positive from this moment in my life. Because I've always attracted things financially. Yeah, I didn't pull up in a Lambo to my job serving and all this. But if I wanted to go on vacations, I did it. I made things work. But now, attracting everything, it doesn't come as quick as it used to. And I think that's for a reason, because I don't know what that reason is, but it's to just know that I can attract things. But now mindset and, belief and imagination and faith, honestly, in the unknown, and to lose that control. We want to control everything. I'm a control freak. I've learned that. Like, we need to do an episode of just control. But I want it to be like how my episodes have been. For those of you that have been listening, how they connect to, like, I don't know where it's going to go. But I think being out on the road this year, like I've said, I was in a different part of America, and I grew up on Hope Road. For those of you that are just listening. And I've adore one of those astrologers that I'm learning from that's a licensed astrologist. She doesn't like the word hope. She doesn't. And when she says that, I'm like, ugh. But I still love her and her energy, and I love her for where she's at. You know what I mean? But to me, I think hope, it resonates with so much. Sorry, the ambulance just drove by. I don't know if you heard that. It just resonates with other words too. It's an anchor, right? And now the Anchor app, like, it's just like, it's funny for me personally how everything's synchronized. So that's how I personally am connected with my intuition. Okay, this is good. This is going to be something, part of my life, that's going to help me in some way. So everyone has their unique way. My mom still is like, nah, it's just a coincidence. Literally, I could just probably bring God over and be like, this is God, and he'll do something. If you want to look at it as like a father figure type, I think it's just way more bigger than anything that our mind won't let us, we can't imagine it. It's just like, but because she's Christian, but she's not the Christians that are looked at. It's like it's above religion too. And when I say above religion, out of the box, open to the possibility, could be, but it not limited to this is the way and the only way. And I think a lot of why I'm pushed into the podcasting realm and figuring out how to add my creative talents to build my dream, even if my own worst enemy inside of me wants to kill my dreaming abilities, if I'm the dreamer. But through love and all the darkness that I'm encountering, to bring to light, and that's part of my, astrologically speaking, rising signs purpose here. And I'm going to talk about that in the next episode that will be released on Thursday, finally. Because even though we're in Capricorn season right now in January, and we're about to be in Aquarius, because it's about a month for each sign, the 12 zodiac signs, for those that aren't into astrology, but there's a overlap. So my birthday, I'm in December, Sagittarius, but after like the 21st, it goes into Capricorn into January, and then the end of January into February is Aquarius. So, but Mars has been in retrograde. Uranus has been in retrograde. Mercury is still in retrograde, I think until the 18th, which is in 2 days. Everyone fears Mercury retrograde, but you have to look and see where Mercury falls in your chart. You have to cross-reference today's astrology with your actual natal chart. It's a lot of just figuring out what works for you, what branch of astrology works for you. How do you resonate with it? I remember looking at Eastern astrology versus Western astrology, right? And Vedic astrology is the Eastern philosophy. It's more predictive, or... And the first thing was, well, I knew my sun or star sign, Sagittarius, like, for my whole life. But I didn't even really look into astrology. I just knew I was Sagittarius, right? So I'm going to go with Western, because I was born in the United States. But I also, looked at that Vedic chart, and my sun sign is actually Scorpio with a Libra rising, where in Western astrology, I'm a Scorpio rising with a Sagittarius sun. So it's everything's like shifted, because where the sun rises from the east, that's where your chart starts. Whatever constellation, at the time of your birth, the exact time. But this year I'm building upon my dream, because for me, everyone has a niche, right? And the episode next week, which would be the conclusion of what I've been going through since the end of October, like I said, back on episode 12, because these episodes have just been all about the eclipse season starting the end of October. The end of Libra season was around then. Into Scorpio season. And Scorpio is my rising that I go with through my intuition. And that rules my first house in astrology. So I'm going to be talking about that next episode. A little bit of backtracking because of me trying to grapple with getting like my emotions together to be able to work on my creative pursuits. It's just like a lot of balancing and figuring out what works for me. So I apologize for those that really need consistency in an episode every week, but I'm doing my best. And as I do this more and more, I'll build more confidence, and it'll just come faster, and I'll be able to record like it's nothing, rather than that imposter syndrome that I keep dealing with. And I'm just rambling right now, but I feel like I had to get this out to show folks that want just like that raw podcast. I'm not here, which I am one day, and already am one day, and will one day, do collaborations with people that are well known, whether it's in spirituality or just in pop culture, because that's the stuff that I still love, at least with pop culture. However, and as I discuss in the episode next week about there's no boundaries in creativity. However, TikTok and Instagram and the opportunities that I'm getting through these apps for financial reasons, it's going against like what I came here to learn and do. So it's like this tug of war There's ambulances everywhere. There must be like a fire. All right. Yeah, sorry for the background noise if you hear that. I record in my car with it off because it's so quiet. Where in my house and at my friend's apartment where I did the one episode, it just echoes, and it's like I don't have a studio or this professional. But the sound, I actually listened to it through my car Bluetooth, and Anchor offers like to make it more like background noise, like you can enhance the sound. It sounds good for being recorded on an iPhone. So, but I want to get into doing videos. However, I don't want it to be limited just to Spotify. I want to do videos for my listeners that listen on Apple, Google, what have you. I looked at the analytics of the different countries. Like, shout out to all of you folks. Amazing. Like Germany, I saw Spain, Netherlands, Malta. There's just like a smaller percentage. Mostly the listeners are from the US, but I just want to travel everywhere. I just want to experience as much as I can. And that's how I connect with, this is my like one and done here. I don't know why. I don't know if it's true. And we just don't know. So might as well. However, this period of my life is about starting everything in which I will succeed to do those things. And I gotta keep reminding myself, which I'm doing that now, talking about it, patience. And it's just like very hard to cultivate in these times right now, for me personally. But that's my whole half-hour spiel on where I'm going with my dream, I guess, from a personal space, and how it could help humanity as a collective and away from that separation, where I think TikTok and Instagram, as enticing as it is to make money and stuff, it's so self-serving. And I might sound like I'm judging, because every time I post something to make money, because it's just like random videos on Instagram, it's just like, it stresses me out more than I actually enjoy doing it, because I feel like, I just don't want to be put into one specific niche to get people to view that, to get paid. And B, it's just like, yes, I need to be financially secure, only so I could actually just put my time into something like my podcast and going from there and writing and, traveling to see different parts of the world and different parts of humanity, and to help whenever I can. But I first have to help myself to help others. And right now, it's just like capitalism is kicking my ass. Where I can't just be caught up and have a safety net, in a sense of just in case in the future, if there's an emergency, just like normal people. I don't know why I can't have a savings account like everyone else. And I'm not saying everyone else has a savings account, but if you're a young person listening to this, if you're 18, or even if you're, I don't even know what the lowest age that listens to this podcast in particular, start a fucking savings account. My mom, every adult, that's the one thing my stubborn ass didn't do. And it's not a regret, it's a lesson. I should have listened to mom, at least with that. So save anything you can, even if it's like $3 from your paycheck to start, and then go from whatever you can, because I know times are tough in the inflation realm. So it's like, do I just conform to take off algorithmically for these apps? Now, some of the creators taking off are amazing in the sense that they're just being their real self. They're opening up so people can just relate to them and just letting all their authenticity show and shine. their true self, to inspire others to do that. And that's where it would be amazing for humanity. And that's where I want to go, but I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. But, one thing at a time. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it because it's not my place. Because that's just judging someone else and not loving someone else for where they're at. So it's like, I feel like I can't even give my perspective without that perception. And then counteract that. Why do I care what other fucking people think of me? So do you see this battle in my head? It's like I need a fucking Xanax and a drink. Like honestly, I do. And I don't even drink because I'd fall asleep. And actually I've never taken Xanax. So I'm just saying, it's just like, really? But I think it's just, and I told my friend on DM today and Instagram, because he's kind of going through the same type of issues psychologically and emotionally with being your own worst enemy, self-hatred. Self-love is one of the biggest lessons I will learn this lifetime. And I never knew I just didn't love myself. I don't think anyone loves himself fully. And how would you gauge that? How would you know that? You know what I mean? But as you continue to do the work, you continue to love yourself more. But it's just an ongoing process and deeper. So for those that are starting your journey or are like, what is this whack job talking about? And I say that jokingly because if I was like 22 years old listening to this, I'd be like, what the fuck is he talking about? But at the same point in time, I don't know if I would have been like that. Because I feel like my eye would have been caught if it was to pertain to me. And it all depends on where you're at in your journey. And I try to intervene because the thing is, it's funny because when you're doing the work on yourself, you notice when your loved ones or friends where they need to work on, only because you've been so pinpointed on to your growth. So it's so funny seeing that, but I don't want to say anything because it's not my place as much as I might love that person, because one, I really don't want to battle with an ego at that moment. And two, it's just like, I don't know. It's just very hard to navigate those waters too. But if you have a dream, no one has the power to take that away from you unless you give that away. And that's the main thing that I wanted to put out there on the universe of podcasting from my own voice. Because lately, it's like I talk about a topic that I went through, and as soon as I speak it and upload it to the internet realm, wherever it goes, and satellites and stars, it literally, I go into more depth with it, and I get more clarity and healing in that arena. So it's also a perk of doing podcasting. I don't know if it'll work for you in your journey, but it could. It might. Hey, shit. You never know unless you try. Where is this guy when I need him? Honestly, as I'm speaking right now. But every time I do an episode, I'm myself. And this is like the one thing, social-wise, because it's not really social media in a sense of like likes and stuff. And another thing, I don't think likes and fans and stuff should be a thing for connection in a good sense. Because I feel like the like thing really feeds our ego in a sense of, I don't know, buying followers. I did that. I bought likes. I've done it all to prove to others and get that self validation through others that I never got. Because at the end of the day, the validation that you need is from you. And that's definitely true for me. But I think, honestly, the more that I'm seeing and listening to other people's stories, it's for them too. So, majority of us, if anything. Okay, that was 45 minutes of how I've been feeling since the beginning of December, back in 2022. So I'm going to shift gears to what's going on astrologically with the energy. And another side note, since this is more of like an introduction to what's coming this year, because I don't know exactly everything I'm going to be putting out content-wise, but I'm very adaptable to different modalities and different things that are looked at and either frowned upon because there's no scientific data. As much as I love science, I'm going to talk about numerology like I've had before, but it's not just going to all be astrology, because not everyone likes astrology. And some people just like one niche, the popular word of 2022 and this year probably. Like I said, I'm very versatile. I like a lot of different things that actually I connect to the other different things, such as astrology, for example, and just like my life in general. So it works for me that way. It won't work for you that way. You know, we're all unique in that sense, but I'm going to start talking about different ones so you can find what you like and learn that way. And that's just how you build your connection to yourself and your self-awareness and your intuition. And from doing that, it helps with all the other human stuff, the feeling the emotions, and you know what I mean? It just is a domino effect in that sense to bettering your life, you know, and your relationship to yourself and others. I definitely am excited to talk about human design, only because this is the human experience. So it's going to be great, because once I start talking about that, because I'm just learning about it. And as I said before, first of all, you don't have to be licensed in stuff that's magic and a little bit of science and a little bit of art. I'm not a novice. Like I said, I'm just into all these things, and I show how it connects to everything. And I put out information that I discern from teachers that I've learned from that I might not even know personally. They might not know me, but in what I've experienced and worked for me and intuitively feel necessary to share with all of you from my perspective. And you can take what you want from that. This whole thing where I need to see a degree. Why? Because you paid for your job? Like, I understand, like, again, surgeons, stuff where it's like life or death, I understand that. And even with therapy, yes, you should have a therapist and a psychologist that's trained in the skills to help you get to the root of your problems from a outside perspective and trained person, right? But honestly, since financially it's not there for me yet, just meeting new people in more intimate connections, one-on-one, if so, and just meeting them where they're at and where I'm at deeply into what I'm going through is healing in itself. Someone from, you know, outside perspective that doesn't really know you at all. And a good barber, if you have a good my barber I've had for over 3 years. He knows me more now, but we don't hang outside of work or anything. But each haircut, because I usually go every 2 weeks, but, you know, I just started getting haircuts again because I was away in DC and Virginia, but my barber back in Pittsburgh, we were just talking about this when I got a haircut the other day. Yeah, your bartender or your barber, they're not trained therapists, but just talking to someone is healing in itself. But I'm just putting information out there that I've learned that has helped me before I even started doing this podcast, because it got more in depth with astrology than most. And that's why I just love it, because you can work with the energy to help you on your path. And that's just because everything is energy here. And it's just very wild. I just love keep connecting to back, even the beginning of 2020. I had no idea what that was, and it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like forever ago, a whole nother lifetime. And that's just learning something new like that is an awakening. It's awareness. Learning something new. So we're just always awakening, right? We always have been. But like I said, a huge shift in perception for me was the October of 2020. Definitely. A lot of people have it when they take shrooms or something where they want to connect with the world. And a lot of people, I haven't done it, shrooms like that, recreationally. Because I really am interested in plant medicine in the sense of, microdosing in a sense just to help with emotional work, or I haven't really dived into that part yet to even speak on it. However, it's very intriguing to me. But I took shrooms once and I just laughed. So I almost pissed my pants watching White Chicks, the movie White Chicks, where the Wayans brothers, that movie, it makes me so happy. It's just so funny, so funny. That and Scary Movie 3 are probably, so the category of just dumb comedies are dumb movies, epic movie, disaster movie with Kim K and these random actors. The dumbest movies ever that probably made no money. Actually, they probably did. I don't know. That's a genre in itself that I just love. That and horror movies, amazing. Horror movies are just it's so weird because I just finished, and it's a little bit off topic again. However, I wanted to speak about this somehow. I never finished You, season 3, because I know season 4 is coming out in February, in 2 parts. And for those contexts that don't know, it's Penn Badgley, who was Gossip Girl, Dan Humphries. He's a serial killer. And he gets obsessed each season with a different woman. Well, the second season, he married her. She's in the 3rd season. Spoiler alert. He ends up killing her at the end because he gets obsessed with someone else, and they have a kid. And it's just very wild. It's just very wild. But you're rooting for murder. I'm rooting for murder. But I think murder is just to draw people in because it's on Netflix, and people are so intrigued by those. I personally love unsolved mysteries, right? But just those true crime, everything, especially females, and I'm only saying this from that perspective, is they love that shit. I don't know why. It's my mom and aunt. That's what they want to watch. That or romantic comedies, and that's it. But it's true stuff. They don't watch You or anything. You is more just obviously it's not real. It's just very wild. But I was bawling, so emotional at the end of the 3rd season the other day that I was just texting my friend Nicole. I was I'm literally sobbing for a murderer because it's just a long story, but he had to give up his son because he doesn't want to hurt his son for it's his darkness, right? Is killing people. Not everyone, but just, I don't know. It's out of possessiveness, and that's his thing. And it's a very wild show, but the ending just rocked me. And now he's in Paris, so I think it's gonna be in Europe. So season 4. So, and the girl that he's obsessed with is still alive. Because in the 1st season he kills her. It's just this. It's just so wild. But I know that's a little bit off topic, but also Ginny and Georgia, amazing. That really, there's literally scenes for of therapy. I feel like I'm in therapy with the daughter of the mom, Georgia. You know what I mean? It's just that mother-child relationship and what I'm going through, because ancestrally, what resonates with me is the son born helps with the mom's trauma, and the daughter born would help with the father's trauma. Now, it's obviously not proven. And what if you're the only child? You know what I mean? And there's so many stipulations. And I heard another person that talked about this. It was opposite. It was like the son helps the dad's ancestors and the mom is helped by the daughter. It's just like, but I'm really connected to my mom's side a lot through how I know this in astrology. To help prove that is the wound that I carry in this life from Chiron. And you can listen to episode 10. It's all about Chiron and how I experienced that in life, and it was brought to my awareness of my wound because Chiron in my birth chart is in Cancer. And my mom's moon sign, since the moon is connected to your emotional world in your psyche, right? Your rising is more about your appearance and your soul coming into this life. And your sun sign is another part of your personality, right? But emotionally, the moon sign. And being a water natal moon, and then my mom's a Cancer moon, and my grandma's a Cancer sun. So you see that lineage? I don't know what my great-grandmother is, though. I want to say she's Aquarius sun sign, which is interesting because Aquarius rules my 4th house of home, family. The 9th house rules spirituality, knowledge, but that's where Cancer rules in my chart personally, the 9th house. And Chiron is in the 9th house placed. But I only went up to my grandmother that passed away when I was 10 on my mom's side. But having the mother wound in Cancer is about, there's some type of emotional trauma in the lineage where I feel like something's missing, or the person that would have that placement feels like something's missing, and they have love for others but not themselves. And it's just, everything resonates so much just from astrology, from that sense. And it's funny because my attachment style also connects to my astrological Chiron wound that I carry in this life. And it's so fucking wild how I connect all that. But I don't want to get ahead of myself because this is just going to be about how Cancer connected all these things. And I remember, like, it was like November 14th, and I actually talked about it like 2 episodes back. I think episode 13, where Taylor Swift's also a Cancer moon. Drake is a Cancer moon, who I'm going to be talking about the next episode. My friend Duff is a Cancer moon. I just found out on Friday the 6th of January when the Cancer was a full moon. And our friend Rachel is about to have her second baby, and she just wants the baby out because she's just ready to pop, honestly. And Cancer actually rules the body parts of the womb. And it was a Cancer full moon, and I was like, Rach, just be positive and patient, and maybe she'll just come out, because you have to give love to your womb, right? If it rules the womb, it rules other parts too of your body in particular, but I know the womb was definitely like number 1 on there. She didn't have her baby yet, but I thought it was just so wild how all that was coming into play. And I literally binge watched Ginny and Georgia season 2. And I got so much healing from it, only because it was very cathartic in a sense that, spoiler alert too if you haven't seen it, just the connection with the mom and daughter, the falling out and the getting back together of why the mom did what she did since Jenny was a baby. She's the eldest. She also has a son to another man who's younger. But it's all about the mom and daughter's relationship. And even though I'm the son, me and my mom's relationship is most important to me, because my mom's my first relationship in this life. And as I heal, I see that she's healing, because I feel like we are the same person. It's like so fucking weird how you start seeing that. You just start seeing everyone is exactly like you. and what you like love about yourself. When you start healing, you just start realizing that everyone looks different, but we're like all the same in a weird way. And I don't know if that's just like me tripping out or what have you, but the wound that we carry in this life, it's something that are healing consistently until the end. I'm sure. I don't know. Right? I don't know. But I'm just showing how I proved, at least for my own journey and myself, of how I proved this. Because everyone looks at astrology like, well, it's not scientific. It's not I mean, it really is. There's so many different branches of astrology, different numbers, degrees. It's just like, and then if you use other modalities, theories, and connect, you just see that everything is connected. And I really had a hard time, though, with this Cancer full moon. Like I said, I was watching Ginny and Georgia, so it was emotional, but I loved it. And I just got back because I came home for Christmas, went back down to DC, and then came back for New Year's Eve, and then came back that following Friday the 6th. And I've been home ever since. So right when the Cancer was in full bloom, it was around 3:08 Pacific time, on Friday the 6th of January 2023, and it was the first full moon of the new year, and everything is in retrograde at that time. And like I said, still is. Mercury retrograde, it goes direct on the 18th, which is in 2 days. So what I'm learning is that when Aquarius season comes, when the sun moves into Aquarius, which is, I think, the 21st of this month, so soon, the new energy is coming in, because all these planets that were retrograde are going direct. So it's just going to be like all new energy, and it's just like to me personally, that's when the new year starts, energetically wise, because I feel like I've just been in this reflective state. And it's MLK Day. It's a reflective day since the beginning of December, throughout the holidays, but it was a time to decompress. And I hope you got to decompress with your family, yourself, your loved ones, your pets, your friends during the holidays. And that's why I just took a break. Aesthetically, I'm like kind of irritated because I wanted the next 2 episodes from this Thursday and next week to be like placed under 2022, just finished out that year. But logically and connective wise, it's just like, no, like wait a little bit, because I keep pushing myself and it's killing my energy, because I want to keep up with everyone else, but I'm energetically different, and I'm starting to realize that. And we all are energetically different, and human design is how I can display that information to you folks so you could see like where I'm coming from, which I'm definitely going to be getting into soon as I learn more about it. Before I wrap up and release the most craziest of all this that I'm so obsessed with, I'm so excited about, I kind of want to talk about what the full moon in Cancer entailed. And if you can think back to a week or two ago, almost 2 weeks ago, how are you feeling that weekend? Because for me, I had symptoms of a horrible headache. I had a cold to start off with, so it could have been that, but it was right between my eyebrows, so right where your third eye would be, like right above your eyebrows, and it's called the 11s. So if you ever get Botox, it's called the 11s. But it's funny because the third eye, that's what connects you to everything, and 11 is like 11111. We are one. So do you understand like how wild that is? Like, why is it called the 11s? Because it makes it 11, like if you have wrinkles there. But I had to add that. However, the full moon that was in Cancer, it was an invitation to invite us to reflect on what home means to us, and encourages us to become the safe space we have been seeking outwardly through outside sources of validation, through other people, where home is you, like I've said. I saw someone tweet that. It was like, home is, and then just the letter U. And I was like, that's like the best tweet I've ever seen to this date. I loved it. So that, and the other best tweet is, I just want a condo or apartment just of bathrooms. Because I'm obsessed with bathrooms. I don't know. A little off topic there. But I'm just a bathroom person. But this lunation was an opportunity to notice how we nurture ourselves and how we meet our needs and what needs of ours we desire other people to meet for us. And how do we communicate those emotional needs to the other people in our lives? For me, with that cold, I just was very exhausted. I took time to just rest and not push as much, because the beginning of this year, I kept diving so much deep into how to work an algorithm and how to like take off. And it's not about going viral. Yes, financially, because I just want to get out of this space I'm in to just have something taken care of as I'm doing all this other work in different areas to kind of relieve that pressure of being overwhelmed. But with all those planets retrograde, especially Mars, since Mars rules my whole chart, because it goes by, for those that don't really follow astrology, I talked about this before, but my first house, and I'll talk about it next episode when I talk about Scorpio, and Drake, because that's Drake's sun sign, and the whole creation of the title of the next episode, and the connection to Taylor Swift, and it just all took off back in October. And if you listen back to episode 12, like I've said, if you are new to this episode, or this podcast series, I should say, it just explains more in depth of where I'm coming from. Only because I feel like I'm a little bit out there in my creativity, and I kind of want to explain some of how it all connects, I guess, in a way. I don't know. That's just like where I'm at with it right now. But I get excited about it, so. But Cancer is, it's my wound. It's just like a lot of my healing stems from that. So on December 9th, here we go. On December 9th, right, a little bit before my birthday, SZA drops this album that a lot of artists wouldn't respond to her, that she was going to feature. And I'm glad that they didn't, as much as I would have loved some of the collabs she was going to do. That album hits every single song. It's like everything I'm going through emotionally, the big feelings, she put it into songs and fucking sang them. It's like I can't even go anywhere from it. I was just like, what? And she's a Scorpio sun, and I'm a Scorpio rising, so Scorpionic energy that we embody is similar, but I will talk about that next episode. She's a Pisces moon. I'm a Pisces moon, so right there, emotionally, we connect. And her Chiron's in Cancer as well, from her birth chart, it's actually legit. My Chiron's in Cancer. Hers is in a different house, though, but it's in the same sign. And she released her album on when the moon was in Cancer. Do I know if she knew that when she did it? No, but if she loves astrology, yes, she knew that because she worked with the energy. What? If I'm putting out an album, it's going to be on a Cancer, whenever the moon loves being in Cancer, because music is everything when it comes to healing and everything emotionally. Do you see how this connects and how you can work with energy creatively? Sorry, like spitting out words here. Creatively. Do you see that? Do you grasp that? Because I can't even grasp it. I'm just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It just makes you so excited because music, movies, I mean, a part of this podcast, if there was a big three of this podcast so far, pop culture is like one of the big threes. I would say it would be more of the sun sign, I guess. The vibrant, fun part that kind of connects all of us from where we're at, I guess, because human-wise. But amazing. And that's why I love astrology. And so a lot of her lyrics and words is feelings that I'm going through. No matter how obscure and unique they are, it's just like, I love it. You could put it towards your life. Having a water moon is just very emotional. And I also have a water rising. She's a triple water. My sun's a fire. So it kind of like, you know what I mean? I just feel like there's just like a lot of fucking water in my chart but my emotions are going to be my success in this life. I don't know how. I will definitely document that, obviously, on my podcast and see. And if you subscribe or I get to know, you know what I mean? You could see it come into fruition. Just through my perspective, I'm sure other people do that as well. I don't know. I don't really know. Because right now, I'm not really listening to any other podcasters. Except M. Rada, because I love Emily Ratajkowski. Because I wanted to get educated from a feminist perspective. Because I'm a feminist in general. I only relate to females. I only feel safe with females. Not because I'm gay, but just because I just understand. But when I went to college later, I connected more with the masculine side, the males. And it's like, I feel like everyone's female in a sense with the drama, you know what I mean? But it's just like, you know, there's psychological connection to that, how I was raised, like my relationship with my dad, like, you know what I mean? But it's just insane to me. And I don't know, I just feel my grandmother is there in that energy when I get excited, because a lot of my creativity really gets heightened during the Cancer moons, but this one just put me out. I just was literally like, my head was pounding, and I had friends, my one friend Lindsay, she had to go to the hospital, her migraine was so bad in the same exact place, and it just went down the back of my head, down my spine out, and I was like, there's some type of an ascension symptoms, if you would ever look up what ascension is and these symptoms and so on and so forth, depending on whatever's taking place energetically. So it was a very powerful illumination. And on December 9th, it wasn't as powerful because it was not a full moon, but emotionally, like, that whole album hit. And I actually didn't know she had a Chiron in Cancer until recently. I only looked to see I wanted to know if she was a water moon too, like Drake and Taylor Swift, my two favorite musicians. I know it's mainstream, but it's just like, I have a lot, honestly, they're just my most listened to artists. By a majority of us too. And, you know, I want to tie them in, you know, to my art and this podcast to start off with, you know what I mean? And how they help me heal and how I just connect with them. Sometimes I think I'm Drake. I'm not even kidding. And I know it's delusional, but one of the funniest TikToks I've seen this year, the girl's like, she's walking down the street in the middle, I don't know where she was, and she's like, the word this year is delusional, and I'm going, fuck. And she like goes like real crazy, and I'm just like, what? I was like, I love it, because it's imagination. I'm sorry, I cannot just be fact-based skeptic and just, it would kill any type of hope I have left in me to live that way. But I'm gonna work the best that I can to love people that are like that where they're at, because we just don't know for sure. But this is what gets me going and excites me, and when I talk about it, definitely. And this is how I connect. But the moon is an archetype of the feminine, the mother energy. So that's where creativity and nurturing stems from. And that's most of my energy coming into this life as I seek the masculine part of my energy. And like I said before, when it comes to energy, it's not dick, vagina, male, female, gender, and as a human. It's energetic. You know what I mean? So I don't want to misconstrue those concepts because of the terminology is the same, right? So it's just wild, how the wounds I came into this life with, specifically in Chiron being in Cancer, and just how everything's like connecting. So that full moon was definitely huge on me personally, but I'm excited to see how the energy switches up when the sun ends up being in Aquarius at the end of this week, and all of the planets such as Mercury and Uranus are all stationing direct, because Mars stationed direct recently. But there is a shadow phase after where it takes a couple, you know what I mean? And it's all based on you and when you pick up on the energy, and if you're aware of the energy and if you're working with it, and there's other ways to energy heal, which I'm going to get into this year as I experience them in my life and as I learn about them. So I'm very excited to do and talk about that with you in the future. But Thursday episode, and then next week, the final episode, which should have been released in 2022, like I said. However, I added more stuff to those episodes because I was able to take a break and then come back to more content that actually ties in with it. So it's working out amazingly, right? At least for me, as being my podcast, and my first step into the creative world, and from a different way that I couldn't have imagined, honestly. But Thursday's episode is about my take on boundaries, what a boundary even is, how I'm learning to set them, how I never had boundaries. We're going to talk about Scorpio season, even though that was a few months ago. My apologies for that. But it rules my first house, and it's my rising signs, so it starts my whole birth chart up. And I know the last episode, the two about Taylor Swift, because she is a Sagittarius sun like myself, and I suspect she is a Scorpio rising, but we don't know for sure. But Drake is a Scorpio sun, and he was part of the creation only because when he released stuff and Taylor Swift released stuff, it's just like the artists and the music and how it ties into the energy that I put into the creation of the episodes, emotionally, psychologically, and the work that I'm doing. You see how it's all coming together, right? I'm just excited about it, so stay tuned for that. Check that out. But on Thursday, I'm going to talk about Scorpio, right? And then get into my take on attachment theory and my attachment style, and how that actually ties into astrologically my Chiron sign, and even more of the negative vibrations of being a Scorpio rising and what a rising sign even entails. I'm only going to talk about the Scorpio rising, but I'm also going to talk about what a rising sign even is for those that are new to astrology. I know I touched upon it before previously, but just so there is an awareness and an acknowledgement of what a rising sign even is in a natal birth chart. And then the following week is all about creativity, where creativity has been blocked for me and where it has thrived, and how there is no boundaries when it comes to creativity. And then we'll go from there, because by then we'll be in Aquarius season, and energetically it's the start of a new year that way. But until then, have a good night, happy MLK Day, and happy New Year. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Hope on Road. Never miss an episode by subscribing, and don't forget to follow @Hope on Road on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.